Hey guys, we're back with another arcade pickup. This one, like the Pac-Mania, was free. This started its life as a missile command. Someone had wanted to make a multi-Pac-Man cabinet out of it. This is what was left of it. So unfortunately, the cabinet was stripped of the boards. Monitor's gone. There was this LCD in its place. Nothing really left over in the cabinet. Surprisingly, the coin door was there. It does look like maybe they drilled this out to put in a credit button there. Looks like that's what they were trying to do with that, I'm assuming. But coin door's there. That's always nice. Saves a lot of money. Up here, these aren't supposed to be there. On the marquee, there's supposed to be this beautiful missile command marquee going across here with speakers mounted on each side. So I'm assuming they drilled holes in the top of the cabinet and relocated the speakers there. The monitor, I don't know if I'm gonna keep that or not. I'd like to have a 4:3 aspect monitor. I was looking to see if I could get the 4-in-1 Let's Go Bowling, Missile Command, Centipede, Millipede from 2002. Apparently those are hard to come by. Going down, they actually did have the glass, which was painted black. You can kind of see it. So they just kind of went around and painted everything on it. Maybe I can sand that down and salvage it. That would be nice. They did have this bracket here, which I was trying to figure out from pictures how it went. It looks like what they did was they drilled a second set of holes in this. Really, this thing should be like mounted up there, I'm assuming, with that first hole, and then that would hold in the marquee. I don't know, I'm assuming they nailed this nailer in here. I'll have to pop that out. You guys see that? Let me brighten it up a little bit. So I'll have to take that out, patch these holes. You can tell it's like rough on the back, so they must have drilled that. So patch that. We got another Swiss cheese control panel. So if you take a look at it, you can kind of see what they were thinking. Where you got the player 1, player 2 for Pac-Man, the joystick, and both holes. If we look on the back of this, we can see the original spot where the trackball would go, which brings me to the side. You know, they put on the Multicade side art. It looks like they painted everything black. There's some blue poking through. I don't think there's blue in that spot in the original side art though. I wonder if you sand it down enough if you would get to the original side art, which would be pretty cool if it's still there. I don't know if it is. I'll have to sand it down and take a look. And then no T-molding, so I'll have to get T-molding. So yeah, this is gonna take quite a bit of work. so over working on this project. I'm gonna be honest, I'm sick of it. While I started working on this project last year, I was trying to source parts because I wanted to try to keep it original and return it back to what it was. The trackball alone was like $300, a non-working PCB was $500. It just doesn't make sense to spend that much money when you could spend a little bit more to get a complete working set. And in the midst of doing all this, a nicer condition complete missile command popped up locally to me for $350, and I'm pretty sure it sold for less than that. And I had already been going through this, and I don't know if I even really wanted a missile command. It was free, and I thought it'd be cool. So at that point, I had abandoned my hopes of doing an original thing, and I was like, oh, I'll do a MAME, a MAME cabinet. Seeing that pop up kind of took the wind out of my sail on the project, and in the midst of working on this, it started getting colder out, so I couldn't really paint and do all the finishing touches that I had wanted to do. So it's pretty much been on pause since October, November of last year. While all that's going on, I had got in a Cruisin' USA, which I coincidentally did the video prior to doing this video. And I went through that project, did everything, and that's up and running. I have had a ton of other stuff come in that I just don't post. Dragon's Lair I got. I currently have a Pac-Man. There's a Simpsons bowling that I want to do a video on. A Nintendo Verse, a Play Choice 10. And I've been doing a ton of console stuff. I did a Dreamcast mod, a Game Boy mod. So there's a huge backlog of stuff for me to kind of put together. And this kind of fell to the wayside. And it's one of those things where, like, when I did the Pac-Mania arcade cabinet, I did it and I got it to the point where it was playable. And then I went back at a later date and revisited it. And it's a lot more enjoyable now after revisiting. And I think that's kind of where I'm at with this right now, where it's playing, it's together, it's somewhat presentable. I just want to step back, work on some other stuff, and then let this exist and be played, and my friends and everything can play it, family. So starting at the top, like I had mentioned, there were holes cut in up here, and I filled in all of that, and it's looking pretty good. I do want to sand it down one last time and do another pass on it, but otherwise it's barely noticeable. The marquee I had to make up myself. There were no graphics readily available, so I ended up getting an R file and getting my own printed up. This plexiglass, I think I have a video of that. I cut it down and everything, got the speakers all mounted in it, put in a new light fixture, and I filled in the holes, and I have these cheap little screws holding everything in, which is another complaint of mine, where it's hard to find the original hardware for it. So going down, I spent a ton of time working on the glass, and it just didn't polish out enough to really be usable, at least to my standard. So what I ended up doing was getting this black, I think it's like ABS, to put that in to cover up all the monitor mounting and brackets and stuff in there. But they didn't have the thickness that I wanted, so now I can't fit in my plexiglass with that, and I think that was kind of like the nail in the coffin for me, where I was just like, okay, I need to step away from this. I did get another monitor. Well, switched out the monitor. I had this, and I put in just a 5.4 monitor that I had, which really looks a lot better, and I'm glad I did that than rather trying to use the vertical monitor, which I think coincidentally ended up in the Pac-Mania cabinet. I don't know if I really showed the second revision of Pac-Mania. Maybe we'll do that another time. So going down the control panel, yeah, there's videos of that, me grinding it down, welding in patch panels. These buttons, I do have the Atari cone buttons somewhere. I couldn't find them, and I wasn't going to pay again to order another set of cone buttons. So I coincidentally had these buttons from, you know, whatever project from years back, and they fit perfectly in here. So I ended up going with that. The trackball, it's smaller clearly than the original trackball, but I drilled out holes and got it mounted, and it plays pretty good. I played an original, and it doesn't have quite the same feel, but it's good enough. Now, the control panel. This is a decal that I got from Escape Pod, and I do not love it. It actually really bothers me. When I got it in, there were these terrible creases in here, and I thought that I could work them out. Wasn't able to. It was actually coming apart from the backing, so it already had lost some of its adhesiveness. There's this line that I don't know if you guys can see it. This line from the print that runs all the way through, and it's not noticeable with the lights down and everything, but God, I really don't like it. So for a game that I really don't have much money into, a cabinet that I got for free, I sure am complaining a lot about it. And I'm just kind of venting my frustration on the project because it's not up to my standard of workmanship, and I've really had higher hopes for it. And I think I'm probably just being too critical. So inside of the cabinet, it's just running a standard Dell computer, MAME. I have it set up so you can kind of go through and pick a few different games that are available. Also, you'll notice the monitor is now having issues. Gonna stop complaining, just gonna have fun. So, a game that I actually play the most on here is probably Capcom Bowling. I ended up really liking it. I never played it before playing it here. And it's just like a simple, fun game to go through and play. You know, Simpsons Bowling is another game that I mentioned I have on here, which in MAME, it's missing the dialogue from the characters, which is a big bummer. But other than that, you can go through and play the game. So it is nice that I have the option to go through and play multiple trackball games on this. And I'm kind of torn because I don't know if I want to keep this or not, but I do like having the option of playing Capcom Bowling or Millipede or even playing Simpsons Bowling without the sound effects. So there is something therapeutic, to me at least, about these trackball games like Golden Sea, like Capcom Bowling. It is kind of relaxing to just come out here and play it after a day of work. So I do really like the Missile Command cabinet design. I think the marquee is beautiful. The side art that's normally on here I think is fantastic. And not this control panel, but a screen printed control panel I think looks really great. But I think there's too many imperfections with this cabinet for me to love. And I can go through and address all of them, but it gets to a certain point where you're just kind of wasting time and money on it. So guys, that's where we're at with this cabinet right now. I'm not really sure what I want to do to make myself love it. There's just a lot of imperfections right now that's really bothersome to me. Like I said, there's a lot of projects coming down the pipeline that hopefully will get posted soon. Probably be mostly console stuff for a little bit. Then we'll get into the Pac-Man cabinet possibly, maybe some other things. And some new hacks that I've been working on that'll be coming out shortly in the next couple of weeks. Oh, nice.